In the course of the evolutionary process, which is caused by fruitive activities due to undesirable material sense gratification, I have received this human form of life, which can lead to the heavenly planets, to liberation, to the lower species, or to rebirth among human beings. Right? Who's speaking? What? The saint is speaking to Brahmanas. Good. So, Srila Prabhupada highlights about the evolution from the translation. So he says in the Western society, they have wrongly explained what evolutionary process means. Darwin's theory of evolution from animal to man is incomplete because the theory does not present the reverse condition, namely evolution from man to animal. In one sense, it doesn't take into consideration that evolution in Vedic understanding is through the consciousness, whereas their understanding is a living entity changes the body to get to another existence like that. Whereas in the Vedic culture, we understand that based on your consciousness, you are given a particular body. It could be higher or lower. So that's the way we evolve, consciously. All right. So in this verse, however, evolution has been well explained on the strength of Vedic authority. Human life, which is obtained in the course of the evolutionary process, is a chance for elevation, swarga bhavarga, or for degradation, tirashcham punarasya cha. Now, Srila Prabhupada then expands on what this pavarga is. So in the next paragraph, apavarga is liberation. Pavarga is when you take up material life. So material life is called pavarga because here we are subject to 5 different states of suffering. Srila Prabhupada quotes this in many lectures, represented by the letters pa, pa, ba, ba, and ma. Pa means parishrama. It means one has to work very hard. Pa means pena or foam from the mouth. So, for example, sometimes we see a horse foaming at the mouth with heavy labor. Similarly, if you work too hard, all these things you are expending for what? Ba means vyartatha, disappointment. In spite of so much hard labor, at the end we find disappointment. Ba means bhaya, or fear. In material life, one is always in the blazing fire of fear. Right? Since no one knows what will happen next. Or I'll lose my job. I'll be laid off. Finally, ma means mrityu, or death. When one attempts to nullify these 5 different statuses of life, pa, pa, ba, ba, and ma, one achieves apavarga, or liberation from the punishment of material existence. So when you recognize this, then you don't want to go through this, then you try to act in a higher status of consciousness. Right. So otherwise, as Srila Prabhupada said earlier on, is tirashcham punar asyacha. That means you go down to a lower birth. From a human birth, you don't use it, so you go down. So Prabhupada continues, as Western people think, from the monkeys come the human beings who are more comfortably situated. However, if one does not utilize his human life for swarga or apavarga, he falls again to the degraded life of animals like dogs and hogs. This is a difference. They don't think that you fall down. They think you are always evolving upwards. Therefore, a sane human being must consider whether he will elevate himself to the higher planets, prepare to free himself from the evolutionary process, or travel again through the evolutionary process in higher and lower grades of life. There are 8.4 million species to decide which one you want. So we have to be very careful in the use of our material body. In the next paragraph, Srila Prabhupada says, our Krishna consciousness movement is therefore the highest, movement for the benediction of human society, because this movement is teaching people how to go back home, back to Godhead. You don't find any other movement claiming they can take us. But nowadays they will say it just because they want to say. But here is a promise that if you follow in Krishna consciousness movement, you are guaranteed. Of course, if you don't want to take up Krishna consciousness, then you are forced to associate with the material world. And so therefore, Srila Prabhupada quotes, Karanam guna sangasya yad asat janma yonishu. Sat asat janma yonishu. That means one actually, according to his association, takes up the qualities, good, bad, moral, goodness, ignorance, rajaguna, like that, passion. So if he associates too much with those kind of people or activity, then the tendency is his consciousness changes towards that. So suddenly he's thinking like that always. So next life is guaranteed to take in that kind of situation. Yeah. Therefore he says, according to Karanam is your activities. In whichever guna you're going to associate, that is where you're going to take the birth. Janma yonisha. We have to be careful. Basically, this point is, if we are not going to think properly and do whatever we like, then don't blame anyone. Oftentimes we blame, right? Why I'm suffering? Why God is like? Why God don't take away all the suffering? We'll go back home. Like it's so easy, and that it's his job like that. That to take us back, but whereas we don't want to give up anything. But God must give up everything. That is our argument always. So this is foolishness. No? Prabhupada says this is foolishness. And so he says a foolish civilization in the next paragraph is extremely risky because they don't know what is right and what is wrong. And therefore the Krishna consciousness movement is trying to make people aware of their fully dependent condition under the stringent laws of nature, and is trying to save them from being victimized by strong Maya, which is Krishna's external energy. Very hard to overcome this material energy. We have to accept that also. But if you surrender to Krishna, Krishna himself says, Mam eva yi prapadyante mayamitam tarantite. Like that. So then you can overcome that. That should be the aim of our life. Text 26.
Prabhu, may I ask one thing? This is from yesterday's class.
If I can remember.
Prabhu, you mentioned there are 6 qualities of Brahmana. I only got 5. I'm missing 1.
Okay.
So one is
deity worship.
Yeah.
And then he helps others worship the deity.
Okay, that's the one.
Yeah. Charity you have. Take charity, give charity. And then the last one is
studying the scriptures and teaching
the scriptures. Yeah. Text 26.
Tatrapi dampatinam cha
Sukayanya panuttaye
Karmani
kurvatam drisva Nivritosmi vipayam. In this human form of life, men and women unite for the sensual pleasure of sex, but by actual experience we have observed that none of them are happy. So who's saying it?
The
saints is saying. Therefore, seeing the contrary results, I've stopped taking part in materialistic activities.
Just by observing.
Huh?
Just by observing others.
Yeah, well, I think he also experienced something. So he's saying after seeing all that, he decided he didn't want to get into this. Of course, remember, Prahlad Maharaj also says that, Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hi tukcham. It's very difficult in this material world. Everyone is centered around this material sense gratification, sex life, with no spiritual understanding. So Prabhupada also writes there and says they may go through some ritualistic ceremony and then they can be happy for some time. So generally in the modern society now they say honeymoon means for 1 or 2 years like that. Yeah. So they don't want to have any responsibility. They want to enjoy, go on holidays, tours. Every weekend, husband and wife will go some city like that. These modern couples do that nowadays. But
I have one Russian friend,
yeah,
and young, and she said, I'm divorcing my husband because our relationship is not going anywhere. Means there is no fun.
No
we are
fun.
not enjoying
Yeah,
it.
that's
So she
right.
just divorced him.
That's how, because that's how it is. Prabhupada says, Maitunadi griham is sukham hi tuchha. That's all. No more happiness, they change. But finally, Prabhupada says there is dissension. So, like your friend, that Russian friend is going through. And thus, there are so many cases of separation and divorce. Right? Everybody wants to be happy and enjoy this and that. But actually, there's no happiness in this material world. Dukhalayam asasritam. And it's also very temporary in other ways also when you try to see things. Whatever you do also not accepted by people. Marriage is there for the sole purpose of helping one another control one another's sense gratification, and then focusing more on the personality of Godhead, trying to understand how to relate Him. Okay, we have some, we are not perfect. We have some things that we need to fix. So therefore, some people are allowed to get married, a concession for that. But then again, we shouldn't think that is the goal of life. No, that is a misunderstanding. Rather, together they should try to please Krishna. In fact, they become more successful if they help each other become Krishna conscious. So each party is trying to protect the other party. That's what it is. Individually, they may not be able to be successful in Krishna consciousness, but together they help each other maintain their Krishna consciousness to a higher standard. So if we don't have Krishna, then eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. That's all we will. And it's no different from animals. But in human form, all this must be regulated. Okay. So therefore, Srila Prabhupada says the Vedic plan for eating recommends that one take yagna shishta or prasad, food offered to Krishna. We offer because we will then get the food as, what does that mean?
Sanctified.
Sanctify means there's no reaction.
Karmic
No
reaction.
karmic reactions for it. And that's the mercy. That's why we say it's prasad, the Lord's mercy. But if you don't have Krishna, then we will just eat only. And then what's the difference between an animal and a human being? Now, already he has stated earlier, animals can do it and they don't incur karma. So we are supposed to be responsible for the body we have. Animals don't have to be. So therefore, if you don't know what is the goal of human life, then you are actually creating more and more reactions or sinful activities. And then you will again have to suffer the consequences like that. So in the material life, if you don't have Krishna consciousness, you will commit sinful activities, no choice. Because you will go according to what makes you happy. Okay, so therefore you will either kill or you steal to enjoy the material energy. Therefore, we have to be very careful. But when we are regulated in the Vedic Varnashram system, then everyone can understand why there's a restriction. It's not just, okay, I think we should not do this. Everyone, yeah, okay, that sounds good. It's not like that. It's based on scripture, based on what the Lord is saying, because it's for our benefit. Some austerities is required. Then the value of existence is appreciated. The value of why we get something, all are appreciated. Now there's no appreciation. If I can get more, okay, then I deserve more, even more, like that. There's no appreciation. Or there's no appreciation for someone who's suffering. Modern society is like, the guy is, he suffered because he's not working hard. Right? But they cannot see that no matter how much another person is working hard, they cannot get the same benefits this person is getting. Okay, so therefore, in Vedic injunctions, there are many restrictions so that we can get elevated and finally liberated from these sinful reactions. So, Prabhupada writes, Vedic injunctions for marriage offer a concession to human society. The idea being that a man and woman united in a ritualistic marriage ceremony should help one another advance in spiritual life. Right? Then he says, unfortunately, in this age, men and women unite for unrestricted sexual enjoyment because they don't understand what's the goal of life. So he said we shouldn't be like hogs, dogs, like that, and eat everything, right? The hogs eat everything, even their own stool in the pan they are. From the hog's point of view, he wants it everything clean. So he eats everything. Yeah. But that's how it is. If we are not careful, we will come back like a hog, living that kind of life. Whereas as a human being, we will only eat what is offered to the
So then
deities.
knowing that these hogs are made like that, how come people still take to eating pork and all that, right?
Yes.
Think about it, no?
Yeah, that's why
that should
it's-
gross them out enough to give up meat eating.
True, but it's the ignorance that is so strong that they cannot see beyond that.
Taste.
Yeah, they cannot think about it. They can only think through the tongue. One of the things is when you identify the body, you identify with the senses also. So when you smell something wonderful, the nose is you are the nose. So when you eat, you are the tongue and the belly. And when you see something, you are the eyes.
Just forget everything else.
Yeah, so you're not thinking I'm a soul trying to get. You're thinking I am this. Yeah. So therefore, they cannot make that decision. It's where we come into play, help them understand goal of life.
But there are so many videos, Prabhu, that are floating around talking about how meat eating is bad.
It's true, Mazi,
It
but
doesn't influence people even then.
unless you have the adhikar, it's not going to affect you. Right? Like for example, let's say Arun is drunk. Somebody spiked his water, and he is drunk. He coming home and you're telling him, "Why did you drink?" You think he can understand?
We never understand.
Yeah, no.
Anything for that matter.
Hare Krishna.
We're not talking about that. The point is, can he understand? He cannot, right? Yeah, so that's the thing. No matter you can show him a video saying this is all wrong, he still cannot because he is in that
He's
state.
used to that kind of gratification.
Yeah, so similarly, all these people you say they are watching video, they cannot. They don't have what we say adhikar or qualification, which is where we come to play. We give them prasadam, we talk to them, we take their karma so that they can be released from such gross existence. And that's why we preach. Otherwise, what is the point?
So, Prabhuji, what is it? We take their karma.
Yeah,
Oh, we get.
yeah, of course. Every time you go out, you're taking karma and giving karma and creating like that.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
So when we eat prasadam, right? If our consciousness is more about taste, even that is like.
It's not good, but still there is some purification. If your consciousness is Krishna tasted this, I'm eating
That is
Krishna's,
the right thing.
that's the right mood, and then you'll make advancement. But if you're thinking this,
Often we forget.
yeah, so it's practice. Practice. You have to practice. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Where is your daughter?
Oh, she's playing with Kavya.
Okay.
Rajaraman Goksos.
Yesterday she was representing you. So. Next 27.
Father is very good cook.
Yeah.
Sukam
Oh, she's very-
Ashyatmanoru.
She's very tolerant.
Sukam Ashyatmanorupam.
Sukham
Sarveho Paratistana.
Sarveho paratistanu.
Manasam Sparshajan Drishtva.
Manasam sparshajan drishva.
Bhogan Swapshyami Samvishan.
Bhogan
Swapsyami Samvisham.
The actual form of life for the living entities is one of spiritual happiness, which is real happiness. This happiness can be achieved only when one stops all materialistic activities. Material sense enjoyment is simply imagination. Therefore, considering this subject matter, I have ceased from all material activities and am lying down here. Okay. So he knows exactly why he is doing that. Okay. Now, in the first sentence, he's saying the actual form of life was living entity is one of spiritual happiness. So therefore, he understands we are not of the material existence. He knows that we are spiritual. So he's saying that is the real happiness. And how he's going to get that is by completely stopping all materialistic activities. So therefore he says he just is lying down there. Of course, we can't do that. It's a different category, yeah?
You don't have that adhikar.
Yeah, you don't. You lie in the road, the bus goes by, only you'll take a walk home. You say, that's enough austerity. Right? It's very rare. Nowadays, people don't want austerities. They are afraid of austerity. If there's austerities, they think it's negative.
Yeah. It's spoiling health.
Yeah. This happiness can be achieved only when one stops all materialistic activities. So we have to appreciate this. Now, in the purport, Srila Prabhupada compares the Mayavadis and the Vaishnava philosophy. Briefly, he talks about it. Both the Mayavadis and Vaishnava know that in materialistic activities there is no happiness. So we both agree. The Mayavadi philosophers, therefore, adhering to the slogan Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya, want to refrain from false materialistic activities. They want to stop all activities and merge in the Supreme Brahman. According to the Vaishnava philosophy, however, if one simply ceases from materialistic activity, one cannot remain inactive for very long. Because by nature we are always active. The soul is active. He cannot remain inactive. And therefore everyone should engage himself in spiritual activities, which will solve the problem of suffering in this material world. The problem is we don't know what is spiritual activity. Now then, Prabhupada continues. It is said, therefore, that although the Mayavadi philosophers strive to refrain from materialistic activities and merge in Brahman, and although they may actually merge in the Brahman existence, for want of activity they fall down again into materialistic activity. So they cannot stay there for too long, even if they go. Generally it's very hard, but if they go, they'll fall down. Because the soul wants to have some kind of relationship, right? You find you can experiment with yourself, stay in a room, see how long you can stay.
With the phone they can.
Without anything, just stay.
In a blank room.
They can't, without any book or anything.
That would be
I
sad.
read the book.
Huh?
That would be sad for me.
That'll be sad for you, right? So you'll come out and talk, or disturb your sister. Like that.
I can only stay in a room for like
2 minutes.
10 minutes.
No, 10 minutes too long for you. Yeah, I think 2 minutes is already too much.
In the car, I got stuck inside and I had to stay there for 30 minutes.
Yeah. When you are in the lift, something escalator, you get stuck all alone. Then you are forced to be alone. Otherwise, you find that in reality, we don't want to be alone. We want to talk to someone or something. Even when you're doing work in your office in front of a computer, you want to have a coffee break or something because you want to talk to somebody. Because it's the nature of that jiva. He wants to have a relationship. And the ideal relationship is with Krishna. But he doesn't know. He's confused. So he's thinking this is my existence. And therefore he's in illusion and he suffers. Right? So that is the whole idea here. You cannot remain in meditation upon Brahman. Huh? So therefore he comes down, and generally Prabhupada says such Mayavadi philosophers who don't know anything better, they end up doing philanthropic activities. Open a school, open a hospital, and they're thinking we are helping, and then we are also not accruing more reaction like that. That's all they do. So Prabhupada says, simply cultivating knowledge that materialistic activities cannot give one happiness and that one should consequently cease from such activities is insufficient. But if you take up spiritual activities, then it overcomes that deficiency. The hankering for the action is taken over by devotional service. Yeah. Otherwise, you cannot just take away. Just like we say, give up meat eating, but you have to have nice alternative. Otherwise, you're not going to give up, right?
People don't know how to give up onion and garlic.
If you are a horrible cook and then you want to become vegetarian, then you will suffer. So therefore, you learn how to cook properly. Or you come to the temple or someplace. That's how you give up the taste, a higher taste, like that. So we have to think like that. So everything is properly identified in the scriptures, in the Vedic scriptures. Everything is nicely outlined. How to give up materialistic lifestyle and gear your lifestyles towards spiritual existence. It's there. The problem we have is we are so conditioned in the materialistic lifestyle, and we seem to be liking it, that we have a hard time giving it up. For most of us, no? Even when we know, theoretically we know it's not good for us, we tend to always go back and experience that materialistic happiness. So that's an unfortunate situation. That means even though theoretically you actually, from a spiritual point of view, you haven't really experienced the spiritual happiness properly. So that means you have to figure out, how do I have a higher taste? What will give me that higher taste? In theory, it may be there, I have, but then you keep doing nonsense, then you should understand, I have to do something drastic. So then people will go and do parikram, take a 1 month break in the Vrindavan, associate with the sadhus, perform some austerity. Then they'll find I'm feeling some happiness. Then they will say, yes, now I can give up those lower forms of happiness. So that is how they progress. On your own, you will not make advancement. You need devotee association. This is the fundamental principle. To get higher taste, you must be with devotees. And then you will be able to experience the joy of performing devotional service. Okay, on your own you can't. So that is the whole idea here. We have to stop material activities and engage in spiritual activities. Text 28.
Ite tad atmana swartam. Santam vismritya vaipuman. Vichitram asati tvaite. Goram apnoti samskritam.
In this way, hey, why you guys have to talk so much? What do you all have? Big business?
No, he was just saying something around in the middle of the
Okay. In this way, the conditioned soul living within the body forgets his self-interest because he identifies himself with the body. Because the body is material, his natural tendency is to be attracted by the varieties of the material world. Again, same thing, karanam guna sangasya. Thus the living entity suffers the miseries of material existence. Okay, text 29.
Jalam tad udbhavaishchanam.
Jalam tad udbhavaishchanam.
Hitvagno jalakamai.
Hitvagno jalakamaya.
Mrigatrashnam upadadvet.
Mrigatrashnam upadadvet.
Tatanyatra tartadrakshvata.
Tatanyatra tadrikshvata. Just as a deer, because of ignorance, cannot see the water within a well covered by grass, but runs after water elsewhere, the living entity covered by the material body does not see the happiness within himself, but runs after happiness in the material world. Very nice example. Lack of knowledge, so you're thinking happiness is somewhere else. Or like they say, right, for a cow, when it's eating grass on this side of the fence, it thinks the grass on the other side is much more greener and fresh. It's the same grass, just have to put in things, more nicer grass out there, like that. So we are like that also, because we identify with the body, we think happiness can only be through another material thing. But as soon as you realize or come to that conclusion, I'm a spirit soul and I'm eternally supposed to be happy, then you'll see things differently. That's the whole idea here. So Prabhupada says, one who is ignorant of scientific knowledge of the spirit soul does not look inside the body to find happiness in the soul. Instead, he goes outside to search for happiness, just as a deer without knowledge of the water beneath the grass goes out to the desert to find water. And our movement is trying to remove the ignorance of misled human beings who are trying to find water outside the jurisdiction of life. Rasovaisa rasoham apsu kuntaya. The taste of water is Krishna. To quench one's thirst, one must taste water by association with Krishna. This is the Vedic injunction. So when you offer the water and drink, you're actually tasting Krishna. You're experiencing Krishna. So therefore, next time you drink water, you should quote this verse. Rasavaisa apsakunte. Then you drink. Right? Then you are connecting to Krishna, if you think like that. Otherwise, you are not connecting. And it's very nice to think like that. Text 30.
Deha dibir daivatantre Atmana sukam ihata Tukkatyayam chinisasya Priyamoga krita
The living entity tries to achieve happiness and rid himself of the causes of distress. But because the various bodies of the living entities are under the full control of material nature, all his plans in different bodies, one after another, are ultimately baffled. So you can take any form. Human form, you're not happy. You're like, I want to eat so much, I cannot eat. Right? Then Lord say, okay, I'll give you another form where you can eat a lot. Right? So you come back as a hog, pig or hog. So then you can eat so much. They throw everything and you can eat so much. Then you're thinking, oh man, I wish I was like a human being. They don't hurt me so much. So you're never going to be satisfied. You're never going to be happy. No matter which body you take, you'll never be happy. Let's say you say, oh, the birds are so nice, They're easy, they're flying from one tree to another. Once you become a bird, the bird is afraid because the eagle is flying, is trying to catch the bird. So they fly from one tree to another, looking around, fearful, who's going to come next. You can see the bird, right? Next time, watch the bird. It's always looking here and there. Look at the squirrel, same thing. It's always afraid. Always afraid.
This is a planet Earth. I watched a couple of them.
Planet Earth. Oh, okay. The documentary.
And you can observe all the animals' life. It's very, very scary.
It is scary.
Because from far it looks very good, but they have so much deadly competition. One mistake is there. So they are constantly, as Prabhu said.
It's very hard, very hard. Or let's say, you can relate to this. You get married and then your in-laws are very harsh with you. Super harsh. So maybe even let's say the husband's in-laws are harsh to him. And then he'll feel, what kind of in-laws they are. And then, assuming the circumstances, they all have to live in the same house.
God knows.
Exactly. So he's feeling so difficult, distress. He's thinking of plans. Oh, I wish I get money, then I'll buy a separate house. This is what will go through the mind, right? I wish I get some job in another state or whatever. Yeah, it's true. This is what they think. By having that, the distress will go away. So then he gets a nice job in next state. He goes.
But
Another problem, different
not country.
Okay, another country, another problem. The government has some kind of ridiculous law, right? It says if you earn, you have to pay 50%. If you're a foreigner, your tax is 60%. Then you are always in distress. Or even if you think I can change the body and so on, you're still in distress. Sometimes the sages, they have so much power, they change into some animals to enjoy the forest and so on. But then a hunter comes and kills one of them or something like that. So we know such things happen in the past times, right? From Mahabharata and so on. So it's always a distressful situation in this material world. We should be very, very cautious what we want in this world. The only thing we should hanker for is to become devotee of Krishna. Otherwise, so many things, we will be victimized by material desires to enjoy the material nature. We cannot stop this thing. We are only associating with material energy in this material world. So you are going to develop some desire, right? Like you may have never seen a iPhone or cell phones, right? So 20 years ago, nobody bothered with that. Now everyone is holding something in their hand. So it's like you cannot live without. But 20 years ago, everyone lived without it. So now you take it away from a child, they will go into distress.
They become crank.
Correct. Isn't it?
Yeah.
You have a cell phone?
No,
What do you have?
I don't have any.
And no tablet, nothing?
No, I have a computer.
Okay. You like your computer?
Yeah.
That's right.
Which grade you are in?
Seven.
They're constantly on Hangouts.
All kids, yeah.
All the kids are
All
like
the
that.
kids.
So that you can see, if you take it away, take that privilege away, they become distressed.
So, question on that. So I've heard, I'm able to relate to something, please correct me if this is correct, that so long as we have hope that we can find some
Happiness.
in this material world, we'll keep taking birth and again. So I read that you have to have that hope
Conviction.
against hope, or lose hope in this material world. Only then you can get out of it. Is that correct?
That becomes a negative thing. And
Okay.
so it's not recommended.
Okay.
The way you should think is, I'm not of this material world. So the material things that I have should be used in the service of Krishna, not to reject it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is that will cause you to. It's like the coin analogy. You may say heads. I like only heads and not tail, but they are both in the same thing. Yeah. Or like Arjuna, I don't want to fight because I love my family members. The same thing. Yeah. He wants to be detached from fighting, but actually the reality is he's attached to his family members. So when you say like that, I hate everything, that means you must like something, which means you like to enjoy. Because you cannot enjoy, you are hating it. Or the fox with the grapes.
Great.
Yeah.
It's grapes are sour, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like that. So we shouldn't think like that.
Okay.
But in doing the service, once you are a devotee, when you are doing a service, it's still difficult to experience pure love of Krishna. So that's where the statement comes, hope against hope. Means there's hope that you will be given the mercy because you're constantly striving to please Krishna. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's one of the 9 symptoms of one in the Baba platform. Hope against hope. But we are not even in that.
Okay.
We're not even at anartha nivritti stage.
But
We are still bhajana nivritti. I mean, yeah.
So I have one thing. Prahlad Maharaj asked this question, and the Brahmana hasn't answered the question.
Not yet.
And Prahlad Maharaj is a Mahajan, but he is again talking about the philosophy
Yes.
so much, and he understands. And then I don't know what response he's going to give for the Ajgar Vritti, why he's
We will
so
find
much.
out. But it's nice that he's giving you, at least the saintly person is saying everything that makes good sense. So he's saying he's like that because otherwise the negative situation is distress in the material world. Okay.
That was a culture at that time, right? And then this discussion happened and they go into details.
Yeah.
Now I saw a shortcut. You tell the answer right now.
Yeah, just tell me now, what do you want? Stop making me angry. Kids will be like that. Mom, what do you want? Stop harassing me. Right? Kids are like that, right? Otherwise, you have to come back, but that old age and disease, come back as a NFL football player, and then you won't be happy because after a few years they'll reject you. NFL players mostly 10 years. After that, they get back problem, this problem, that problem, sayonara, they say. They'll give you some 1 or 2 million, so you can go. Then what you want to do, you'll be very unhappy. You'll then turn on and watch all the other players think, I was like that, I'm still good, I can. Full of distress. Right or not?
Yeah.
That's all they think. Every athlete is like that. They'll relieve the whole thing, oh, how good I am. So this is the cycle of happiness and distress. And so it is described again in text 31. Adhyatmika dibir dukhair avimuktasya karhichit martyasya krishopanatai artai kamai kriyeta kim. Materialistic activities are always mixed with 3 kinds of miserable conditions. We know this, huh? Adhyatmika, Adi Daivika, and Adi Bhautika. Therefore, even if one achieves some success by performing such activities, what is the benefit of this success? One is still subjected to birth, death, old age, disease, and the reactions of his fruitive activities. Right? You may be a good person, you go to a bank to deposit, and then some robbers come in with a rifle and say, everyone down. Right? And you're thinking, why I'm going through this misery? Why? I didn't do anything. I'm such a good person. I give charity, I go to the temple. Why am I in this? This is the way. The misery in this material world is like that. I know one, not I know them, I read about this boy, high school boy, very, very good in his football. But accident happened. So his spine got injured. So then the doctor said, you cannot play anymore. You can walk and do other things, no more. Like that. So then their parents are thinking what? Mostly they think of the money, right? Because if you can go to a big school, college, and then everything is sponsored all the way to the NFL. It's all gone. They're all thinking, all ching, ching, ching.
Dollars falling.
All falling. It's all gone. So much distress.
I saw the same example. There is one orthodontic dentist here, right on the plateau. Ogata. The building is the name from Ogata. My son was having a treatment. He was gone from the office instantly. And after months and months, the staff said that some attack happened. And orthodontic is such a sensitive type of a work, very careful. Now he cannot even hold his instrument. He
had a heart attack?
Practice, everything is
Ogata
gone.
is gone, isn't it?
Huh? Ogata is gone. Yeah.
Heart attack?
Something happened.
Or maybe he has stroke. Then he
Yeah,
can't.
stroke. That's what the word said. Now he cannot even hold the
Yeah,
equipment.
stroke.
He cannot hold the equipment. Everything, whatever he spent, his education, everything is gone.
Yeah. Generally for surgeons are also like that. If they get some neuro disease, then they shiver, that's it. Because you can't do any more brain surgery. It becomes brain mash, So they can't. They have to give up. They become just lecturers or something like that.
Internal medicine.
Yeah, that's all. Internal medicine, that's about it. Yeah. So we can plan, but then the conditions are miserable based on your karma and so on will come. They'll come like a terrible tiger or lion hunting its prey. No matter where you run, it's there. Cannot hide. Huh?
Your head will be with you.
Yeah, our Prabhupada says, right? Wherever you go, your forehead follows.
Yeah, in our company there was a lady. She was like really
Good.
When I joined, she was there leading one of the department. Very like rude and all this kind of stuff. So in 10 years, this is like my 12th year in this company. Like 2 years back, she retired. And after like 4 or 5 years, when I joined, after that I started seeing she started having Parkinson's.
Oh.
And then they were shivering with stuff. Earlier, she was not having all. By the time she retired, it was like completely shaking.
Yeah, it's a terrible disease.
And from such a hard person to now
You become humble.
humble,
No?
yeah.
Yeah. It's terrible disease. They cannot control. So therefore, adhyatmika diseases, it can affect you. Your own mind can cause problems for you. You overthink and think and think and think, then you go crazy. Adhyatmika. Adi Devika. Now in Hawaii, a lot of Adi Devika problems. Earthquakes and all those things. And then Adi Bhautika, other living entities like your mother, your father, giving you problem, right? Your sister, your brother, your in-laws, outlaws, everyone giving problems. Mosquitoes, dogs, pet dog. Usually children will tell their parents, buy me a dog. Oh, I so love it. And then the parents will buy and the kids won't take care of the pets.
I don't like dogs.
Yeah. Then the parents will take the dog out. And then
Yesterday I was with a bank. Yesterday I was coming from I don't know where somewhere. I saw at the gas station.
Yeah.
I saw the couple, the old couple, and the husband is driving, and the next to him is a pet.
Yeah.
And he's petting. He was taking care like his own
Wife.
He's like, old. And his wife got down. She's old and she's filling the gas. And this guy is in the car. It's just behind me. I was filling the gas. Oh God, I don't know what is happening.
Exactly. It's very sad though. They cannot connect anymore with anybody. They're connecting with the animals. Sad.
It's a loving exchange.
Actually, no, in the scripture it says you cannot have a rasa with you can have rasa in the same species but not on a different species. So it's not possible. It's a control thing. That's why you have a pet. Yeah.
So then how about in spiritual world in Shanta Rasa, cows and
That is different now. We are talking about spiritual. In the material world, there's no rasa between cross species. Now you don't see a cat and dog having a nice party together. No. Maybe occasionally when they raise it in the same home, they don't. But eventually one of them going to scratch the other one. Right? Or like someone was giving the example of a Brahmana came to a pond to drink water. He saw a scorpion fall into the water. So he picked it up and he stung him. And then he dropped into the water again. So he picked it up and it stung him and kept dropping. Right? So the nature you can't change so much. Yeah. Like that. So everyone, no matter what you do, you go through so much difficulty in the material world. Eventually you will die miserably. If you don't have Krishna, you're going to die miserably. Assuming you have lots of friends, big family, and everyone is nice. So maybe if you're pious, it's okay to someone. But still, they can't save you or help you. But if you have a family that they are not as close to you, but depending on what you have, they'll come. I've seen it also. Devotee was dying, but she didn't do a will, so the family members came to take over. So they told all the devotees to go away, and then the person is not dead. They were arguing among themselves. I'll take the computer, you take the car, and this and that, like that. Yeah, in front of the devotee. So therefore, as devotees, you all should write the wills to say who will take care of you at the last moment of your lives. Otherwise, the state or somebody will come and tell you to go away, and you have to suffer. So Prabhupada says, many politicians, social reformers, and philosophers, big guys, who died very miserably without deriving any practical value from their material plans. So what to speak of ordinary people like us, how more miserable, huh? You don't want to go through this kind of lifestyle, you are dying and people are arguing about your property, Oh, and then you'll really get even more worse in your mind. Just before you die, you will be cursing them, and you'll take back a birth in the same family to give them hell, like that. So the question is not that you shouldn't work hard or not. You should work for Krishna. That's the whole point here. Because you're going to go through all this anyway, whether you are a devotee or not a devotee. You're going to go through some of these difficulties. But as a devotee, you should be more stable. You don't get more worried about those reactions anymore. You can accept things and feel gratitude for what you have. But if you don't have Krishna in the center, you cannot feel gratitude for anything unless you are a pious person. And there are not many pious people nowadays. Right? Very few people are grateful to another person. Very few people. Mostly people are afraid of, what happens if I lose my job? Nowadays that's the main fear in many cities. I've seen even devotees are so afraid. I sort of understand the difficulties. So, text 32.
Pasyamedanam klesham Lubdhanam ajitatmanam Bayad alabdan nidranam Sarvato vivishankinam.
The Brahmana continued, I am actually seeing how a rich man who is a victim of his senses is very greedy to accumulate wealth and therefore suffers from insomnia due to fear from all sides, despite his wealth and opulence. So he is actually seeing that. And we are also seeing this is true, right? How many people in America, one of the highest medication is sleeping pills. It's no joke, it's a fact. That means you can conclude people are not sleeping at all.
Anxieties.
Full of anxiety. Advaita, are you sleeping?
No.
Sleeping pill.
Yeah, so people are always, and then when they take this sleeping pill, they can sleep. So when they don't take, they can't sleep, they become addicted to.
Yeah.
And then they have to go for another treatment. Now the sleep problem is there, plus addiction problem.
So another reason is then they can't sleep, then they have to be working.
Yeah.
So they take a lot of coffee. If you see so much coffee they drink, continuous.
And then they won't be able to sleep.
So now, so they won't be able to sleep. So this Fitbit, they collect data, right? So in America, the average sleeping time is about 11:30 p.m. onwards.
Wow.
So what time are all your kids sleeping?
10:30.
10:30?
Yes. Average.
You don't sleep. Yeah.
Yesterday we slept at 11:30, but minimum we usually sleep at 9.
Okay, you sleep 9. That's good. 10:30?
10. Like I get in bed at 10.
And then by the time you sleep, after you text, what's up?
Making sure that no one is there. In the house.
Right.
And the last one. Everybody's left.
Right?
Crazy.
No, it's not good, healthy for you. Actually, when you're young, you should be able to sleep at least 8 hours for you all to grow your intelligence. Otherwise, you all won't. You'll get sickness when you get old, like all those Alzheimer and all those sickness will come in. So rest now and get healthy, wealthy, and wise.
So that's your 32-ounce sprain, not 16-ounce sprain.
32? Yes, Anvita.
I have a complaint to make on this point.
Sleeping complaint.
Yeah, because like every day since like I generally come to your class at 9:30.
Yeah.
By the time I go home it's like 9:30, 10.
Yeah.
So I sleep. Then I wake up from Mangarti because Purushottam. And then like
You feel tired.
Yeah.
So take an afternoon nap.
Yeah, but like in the afternoon I have so many classes because my parents keep me so many classes.
So you can't win them all, no?
Yeah.
Parents.
You just take a power nap.
Resolve problem with the parents.
Yeah.
Their problem.
Am I correct, ma'am?
You should have a break to sleep. You have to work with your teacher.
I don't take
Afternoon nap. Give yourself half an hour nap time.
no classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any problem.
Oh, Prabhupada also says that sometimes the pills are a failure. Even if you take the pill, it fails. Right, so you have so much money, but you cannot sleep. So sometimes people will say, I'll give you all the money, just let me sleep. You know, I just want to sleep. I want to rest. You know. So it's sad though. Huh? So what is Naradam Das Thakur says? Sansara Bishanare Dibanishe Hiya Jwale Judaite Na Kainu Upaya. I'm suffering from the poisonous effect of material enjoyment. Thus my heart is always burning and is almost on the verge of failure. The result of the greedy capitalist's unnecessary accumulation of wealth is that he must suffer from a blazing fire of anxiety and always be concerned with how to save his money and invest it properly to get more and more. It's just like if you are going, let's say there's no car or anything, you have to walk from one place to another. So if you have lots of money in your pocket, and if you're walking, you'll feel frightened.
Yeah.
You're thinking somebody is going to rob it, right? But if you have nothing in your pocket and you're walking, you don't even worry about those things. No distress. So it's the same thing. People with money will always be in distress. Someone's going to come and steal. They'll put all kinds of lock, all the cameras in the house, right? And then all the courts and everything. The window has fences, everything. So the thief is smart. He'll see which house has most number of camera. Then he'll know that has the house to go.
Attack. Just wear a hoodie.
Yeah.
Technology works. No one can explain me which house has more money.
No, or
They are very smart. They know. They never strike wrong. Mostly they are very good.
Prabhu, when you're telling
or
about
the
this,
coats.
I was in
They could, like,
North Carolina
close.
recently. One of my friends' neighbor's house, just neighbors, okay? They went out and they came back in 10 minutes. They were supposed to go to the bank and they came back. Within 10 minutes, the robbery has been completed.
10 minutes?
10 minutes.
They come with all electronic gadgets.
Yes, and
Finders.
they went exactly to the place where the gold is there and they took it out.
They knew, is it?
Yeah. Means what the cop said is that they have the metal detectors and they know exactly where it and everything. They went directly to the bedrooms and with that they got all the gold.
And they left. Yeah. So they have studied these people. That's how
10
they
minutes interval. And they came from the back, it's just one push.
Yeah.
The frame came out.
Yeah.
Yeah, the frames are very clean.
You can look at YouTube. They show how these guys in the front door they break. They run very hard and they just smash it. The whole door comes with all the things.
No camera. All gone.
Yeah. The police was showing us.
Yeah.
This is how they do. So less than 10 minutes. The guy.
I went and his friend's house, neighbors. Yes, I went and I was so shocked how they eat and everything. 10 minutes they robbed everything.
There was one devotee over here in Audubon Park community. So she just came to the temple to do a service. I don't know if she's regular.
Oh, I saw there is a message.
Yeah, so just when she was here for half-hour duty, there this burglar, he went inside and he got all the jewelry and got it.
This Kiran Prabhu, right?
Yeah.
Kiran Prabhu.
So the whole idea is don't make too much money. That's what Prabhupada says. Let us not make this money the cause of distress. It should be used for Krishna. Don't put in the safe, don't put it in a fixed deposit, don't put it in the property investment, because somebody, even the state can claim the land and you lose the property. Or whatever, you lose everything.
So one of the devotees, it happened here.
Mm.
They had prime property in the top place in Hyderabad called Jubilee Hills,
Mm.
and somebody occupied it.
That's a normal.
That's in India, is not.
Yeah.
Even here, there are other rules.
They have
There's a rule
rules.
called eminent domain.
Yeah.
If the government wants, they can take your
Yeah,
land.
that is also there in every
But
place.
they need to compensate for that.
It's
Yeah.
not your own.
Yeah, but they won't give you at the
Yeah.
premium
Oh,
price.
really?
No.
They will get the government price.
Yes.
Whatever is the government price,
They
you will get the price what you are doing the registration when you want to buy. In India, basically.
That's how it is.
I think
So,
now
we'll stop here. So we'll tomorrow at 10 at the
Damodar.
Damodar.